Everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Amala Epinovi, aka Sporty McSportington today, because the Super Bowl happened yesterday. Now, I'm gonna be so for real with y'all right now. I did not sit down and watch the whole Super Bowl. I have gotten up to speed on everything, watched a whole ton of what went on yesterday, including the halftime show, all of the major clips that were circulating around, all of the drama, the ads, the Nickelodeon spin on the Super Bowl, which we're gonna get into today. But before we go there, we've got Taylor in Nashville.
Always happy to compliment our Sporty McSportington. I'm one of those weirdo old school guys who actually wanted to watch Super Bowl out of interest in the football, but it is as much of a cultural event as it is a sporting one. So I guess we can hit it with the yin and yang here today.
Yes, we can. I'm up on the cultural front of what's happening with the Super Bowl game. And first, we're going to start off with how the game began. And that was not only with the national anthem, but the Black national anthem being sung. Now, mind you, I don't know who the singer is who did the Black national anthem at the Super Bowl. She had a fantastic voice, super talented, more power to her. But my goodness, do we need there to be a Black national anthem? But you guys know the whole history with the NFL, how they're all into protesting and Black Lives Matter. You had Colin Kaepernick start off this major trend of kneeling during the national anthem, and now they've decided to integrate the Black national anthem into the whole show, the whole shebang. Here's, a little viewing. I'm not going to play the sound because your girl does not want to get copyright claimed on this, but you can see this young woman singing it before everything ensues. And you know what? I don't know how far we can go with this, right? Are we going to move on and then have, the Hispanic national anthem, the Asian national anthem, the trans national anthem, each time we decide that there's a marginalized group that, was done wrong in America's history and deserves some respect to be put on their name? Like, is that what we're going to continue to do? Because if you keep splitting up our time and our anthems like this, you're going to have a ton of different people who are going to raise their hands and say, wait a minute, why is it that we're doing the national anthem and the Black national anthem, but we don't have something like the indigenous people's national anthem? Guarantee you, somebody right now is chefing that up, cooking up in the kitchen the indigenous national anthem, and at some point down the line, there will be people doing it. I'm not saying it's going to be at a Super Bowl or something like that, but guaranteed, you are going to find this happening in the future. It just seems a little bit out of place to me. But if we know the NFL and ESPN and basically all of our major sporting institutions these days, they give in to stuff like this time and time again.
Yeah, what's kind of off-putting is more the fact that the NFL chooses to engage in this than the actual content of the song itself. I saw a tweet from Robbie George who tweeted some of the lyrics, and it's actually a very positive song. It was written in 1900 by an NAACP activist, and it kind of celebrates how far African Americans have come through blood, sweat, and tears, through their sufferings, to a moment post-emancipation where they can look forward, look ahead, and with hope and with opportunity to the future. And that in and itself is a wholesome message. But the very idea of having something that we're going to designate as a Black national anthem, I know it's not officially called that, but it is widely referred to as that. And if you go to the NAACP's website, it's couched in this, framed in this narrative of we are a separate group in the United States, and we are oppressed, and we need to fight back against systemic injustice. And it's the subtext of it undercuts the actual original message of the song, which is wholesome, which is aspirational, which speaks to the vision of America to include everybody equal under God and give them those rights and celebrate the progress that we've made and have a vision of hope to the future. But the way that the NFL and the NAACP, all these acronyms are, the way that they frame this and present it is really not in the spirit of the song. It's in the spirit of modern woke activism, which seeks to divide and create this oppressor-oppressed narrative. So it just really falls flat.
Yeah, and just from a logistics standpoint, you're taking up too much time, y'all. We need to, we need to keep it moving. We need to keep it moving. And at some point, it's just going to spread and separate and get, worse and worse. And there's going to be more things for more groups. I think one of the beautiful things about America, at least in its ideals, whether or not you believe that we truly practice those ideals or not, is that we are all housed under our national anthem. We're all housed under our flag. So to keep splitting things up and saying, well, no, we need representation for Black people or indigenous people or trans people or Hispanic people. If you go down this laundry list, it's kind of antithetical to what America is meant to stand for. It's meant to be that the one national anthem stands for all Americans and signifies, our allegiance under the American umbrella. So but, it's par for the course. We knew this was going to happen. Now I told you guys I didn't watch the Super Bowl live on TV, but I would have had I known that Nickelodeon was going to be integrating with the Super Bowl. Y'all, I got on social media and I saw these pictures, right? Okay, so for those of you who are unaware of what Nickelodeon did, they essentially had their own little Super Bowl station where SpongeBob and Patrick were the sports commentators, and they had the voice actors, at the Super Bowl with their headsets on, watching the game, giving their commentary. They had Sandy Cheeks out on the field. Plankton was out on the field. They made up all of these under the sea celebrities, which I'm going to show you right now, and it's so hilarious. Megan the Sturgeon, Olivia Rodrigo, Dua Flipa, Pariana. Guys, this was cracking me up. This is such good marketing. It's brilliant. Oprah Winfrey and Shrimpathy Chalamet.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. I wish I knew that this was actually going to be happening, because I think I actually would have tuned in. And for those of you who are like, oh, I don't even understand football, I wouldn't even know what's going on. Dora the Explorer would explain what was happening on the field as the game was going on, explain like the penalties, what a touchdown is, you know, what the face masking or whatever it's called. She would pop up and give you all the different rules and regulations so that you could follow along. And if that is not the most brilliant thing that Nickelodeon has done in a long time, I don't know what is. And I might actually watch sports now.
If only you knew. Yeah. Do you see the football on the screen? Say it with me. Football.
Yeah.
That ball went fuera, out of bounds. I can totally see it. I missed it. I was watching the main feed, but I love that. I know that earlier in the season, there was like a Toy Story feed where like everything was animated in Toy Story graphics, and they had like the pig character like narrating, I think, the game. And so they're the wonders of modern technology, right? They're using some of these things creatively, at least, to try to bring more and more people into the sport. It's just we have so many draws now, apparently.
Yeah.
With the outside of football, you got the halftime show, you got the commercials, you got the Nickelodeon angle, you got the Taylor Swift angle. So this felt like a very big Super Bowl, even though the football game itself was a little bit boring, a little flat. There was so much attention on it from all these different angles, and it's funny that Nickelodeon added a new layer for us as well.
Yeah, you know, like I don't know how I feel about like all this consumerism, but you know, capitalism, they really ate with this one. They really did. They really did indeed. Now, of course, we have to talk about the halftime show. It was Usher. I'm a fan of Usher. I listen to Usher every now and then. I'm not like a mega fan of Usher, but when I heard he was doing the halftime show, I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's dope. He brought on a bunch of people, her, Alicia Keys, Ludacris, the list goes on. He had roller skaters. I watched it. I thought it was okay. The vocals, or like the sound, was not all there in the beginning. I don't know what was going on, because I know Usher can sing, and we know Usher can dance, because the man would not stop. He was moving all over the field. For me, it did not top the Rihanna halftime show of last year. I thought that was phenomenal. I know people have a lot of hot takes on that, but what's really going viral from Usher's halftime show performance is his time with Alicia Keys, and I'll play some of it here. Alicia Keys, for those of you who do not know, is married. She's married to Swiss Beats, and people were watching Usher get all over Alicia Keys, and it seems like at some points Alicia Keys, when she gets grabbed, is like moving away from Usher. Maybe because her and her husband have some sort of understanding that, you're not meant to be all up on Usher. But famously, when Usher sings the song My Boo, he gets all up on a girl out in the audience. Sometimes there's celebrities out there. In this case, it was Alicia Keys. But this has been going viral because people are calling out Usher for having gone after Alicia Keys in this, although I'm sure it's part of the performance. And people are making fun of the fact that if they were Alicia Keys' husband, they would not be putting up with this sort of tomfoolery out on stage in front of millions and millions of Americans who are choosing to watch the show. And they're saying that he got a little bit too handsy with her. Now, I don't know. Presumably they rehearsed this beforehand, and everybody knew that this is what Usher was going to do, and that he was going to be all up on her, and that was going to be what happened for the show. But I think we can live through this. I think Alicia Keys' husband is going to be fine. I think their marriage is going to make it through. Usher is known, hands down, for doing this during this song. So, I don't know. I didn't think all that much of it.
We've been through a lot more promiscuity on Super Bowls, so I guess this certainly isn't the worst you're going to see. Not that it was necessarily wholesome, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion about it. We asked you guys in the chat here, did Usher cross the line with Alicia Keys? 26% say yes, 34% say kinda, 40% say not really. So it sounds like overall there's kind of a divided reaction to this. No one's super offended by it, or by and large, and life will go on. I'm sure we'll have much more to talk about on future Super Bowls that will be much more pearl clutching.
100%. But, rule of thumb, if you don't want your wife touched by Usher, don't let her near Usher. Yeah. And don't let her go to a concert, which is so funny because this was what created a whole bunch of drama between Keke Palmer and her then husband. I don't know if they're divorced at this point or what's going on with them, but she had gone to an Usher concert and Usher was dancing all up on her. She was dancing on Usher, and it created all this drama. And then she came out with her mother in a recorded clip saying, it's widely known within the industry that Usher's gay. I don't know whether or not that's true, but that would make sense in that,
Breaking news. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
You heard it from Keke Palmer's mom. Okay, you didn't hear that from me. She said everybody in Hollywood knows that Usher is gay. Now, I don't know if that is true, but that would make it a lot less threatening to have Usher dancing on your wife or your significant other, if that does.
I guess so.
Happen to be true.
All I know is he's got a certain effect on the millennial women, and I was half jokingly covering my wife's eyes when he took his shirt off, and I was at a Super Bowl party with my brother and some of his friends, and my brother's wife was there, and she was also very much like a millennial woman, Usher fan, knew all the songs, and she and my wife were very into the performance, to say the least. So I think it definitely hit with a certain demographic.
That's so funny. I knew, I'm familiar with Usher, obviously, through his music, and, I know that he's very loved for his music. I didn't realize he was, a sex symbol, that people were all that interested in him on that front. But I guess we learned that at the Super Bowl. The amount of women that I saw sweating on the internet because he took his shirt off, astounding, truly.
Yeah, and I will say my wife's from Atlanta, so she's got a soft spot for Ludacris and that. A lot of those hits were her era, so when she saw them come out, that was a big source of the excitement. I think it's more knowing all the songs and everything, but I don't know. He's getting hot and steamy, and the roller skates thing was a power move too. That was kind of cool.
Speaking of hot and steamy, which I agree, the roller skates was pretty cool, a cool element to add to the show. And we all know Usher can skate. But speaking of hot and steamy, here's this clip of Travis Kelce, who pushed his coach, Andy Reid, of the Chiefs, just live on air. Let's take a look here.
The fumble. He comes over to Andy. He goes, "Keep me in." What happened is, on the fumble, he was not in the game. Noah Gray went in, and he had to block the fumble.
Now, y'all saw that.
He comes over to Andy. He goes, "Keep me in."
And that's a whole elderly man that you just ran up on. And I know this is creating a lot of controversy, this clip. Some people are saying, oh, well, it's a sport. He's just being a man. These are two men dealing with each other or whatever. This is normal within sports. And even Travis Kelce and Andy Reid have sort of cleaned up their act in the wake of this, and they're saying, oh no, we just put pressure on each other, I don't need to tell anybody what we spoke about in that moment, it's just guys being guys or whatever. But tell me this man didn't just go and push a whole elderly man on the field. You feel like that's I thought the NFL was pretty strict when it came to sportsmanship things. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct Sporty McSportington if she's wrong on that. But you can just straight up go and push your coach? Is this allowed? Is this allowed?
Of course, I saw a lot on Twitter of other players, even former players that are black, who are man, if this was a black player, the whole internet would be melting down, or he'd be in jail right now, or something like that. Which people always inject the race narrative. I'm not sure how much I buy that, but generally speaking, no, you don't go after. I mean, Andy Reid is a legendary coach, and Travis Kelce is very famous, but that doesn't justify treating your coach like this in this moment. It's I think maybe the amount of attention that he's gotten has increased the amount of pressure he's put on himself. And he's like, don't take me out of the game. Do you realize I got Taylor Swift in the box up there? I've got millions of Swifties cheering for me because they don't know anything about football and they just want to see me, and I got to be on the field. It's a tired trope that star players want to be in the game, and they get mad at their coaches when the coach doesn't call their number and have them, be in a play or whatever. But it's when you get to a certain point where you become a diva, and it's hits a whole nother level when you're Travis Kelce and all this other drama's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Men are men or whatever. You show your tension and all that stuff aggressively, but disrespectful and true character shown, because you don't see a ton of other players running up on their coach like that and pushing him over, especially a coach that is way, way, way older than you. I get it if you're sizing somebody up and they're the same size, same age as you, same capabilities, and you run up on them like that, but to run up on an old man like that and somebody who deserves respect, you're wild for that. You're wild for that. And it really does show your character. If I was dating somebody and they did that, I'd be like, red flag. Literally red flag on the play. I'm getting out of this situation. You clearly do not know how to handle yourself, and you had a distinct lapse in judgment. And that's not the only like weird card I'm gonna give to Travis Kelce on the Super Bowl. Y'all watch this clip. This was after the now legendary win of the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. You listen in. I don't know. This gave me the ick. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. And I think it gave Taylor Swift the ick too, judging on how her face looked during this clip. Genuine question here. Genuine question. What is with the Blaccent? I really don't understand. Do y'all hear that? Because I know I hear it. He said, we wanted the 3, well, we couldn't get here without getting the 2. Why is he talking like that? And I know there is like a general, like everybody calls Travis Kelce the white black boy. That's like his nickname now on the internet because he has a fade in his hair and, he's got a black hairstyle and some people say he has black features, but I do not remember his voice being like that. So what is he doing with the look? Couldn't get here without getting the 2. Why is he talking like that? And I can't. I'm sorry. It was a little cringe. I was actually grimacing the first time I saw that clip. And it seemed like Taylor Swift was trying to smile, but also had to have been feeling the secondhand embarrassment of whatever was going on in that clip. I'm sorry, but I know you guys hear it too. I'm seeing you guys in the comments saying, I hear that. But this clip has been going viral because it just gave a little bit of an ick, not gonna lie.
Yeah, okay. I was working on a little poll there. It looks like about 70% of you are saying that, yeah, it's a cringe Blaccent, and half of you are saying, man, whatever. And only a small percentage are saying it was cool. So that's it's not just you, apparently. The general public felt the same way, that was cringe worthy. And there's kind of this cliche in sports where you say that we had a target on our back. And just from a football perspective, it's not really that true. I mean, I guess the Chiefs always do because they're the reigning kind of champions from last year. But this year, they actually struggled earlier on in the season. And then in the playoffs, they were the away team in their playoff games. And so they had to kind of go the underdog route and fight their way through some really strong teams. So to say that we had a target on our back, everyone's saying it sounds like, I guess there's truth to it, but it's just such a cliche. And then to add all the antics and the Blaccent and the Viva Vegas, I don't even know what that's from, but it was just like, I don't know, man. Have your moment, I guess, but it's kind of cringe.
The more I see clips of this man, the more I think that we are watching a very interesting PR relationship just unfold right in front of our eyes, and everybody is getting duped. It is no secret that in Hollywood there are several relationship arrangements that happen all the time to, promote movies and media and make deals and commercialize certain aspects of whatever it is that we're watching. And I have a feeling that is what's happening with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. She's now unlocked a new audience and a whole group of people that now know her. Plus, she's bringing so much revenue into the NFL and ESPN and just sporting in general. So I don't know. I could be wrong. Obviously, this is all alleged, right? But it's just not making sense. The math is not mathing. The more I see of this man and the more I see of her, and just to the thought that they are in a real relationship kind of baffles me a little bit. And you all saw that Super Bowl ad that was like the girl who's finally sitting down with her father to watch the Super Bowl and to engage with him in football. And now millions upon millions of people are suddenly interested in the Super Bowl because, Taylor Swift's there and Ice Spice is there and Lana Del Rey, and they're cutting to them during the shows and everything. And it smells like PR. It really does.
It's sad too, because I want to like it, right? It's like the archetypal, strong alpha male type guy. I mean, people argue that he's beta because of the vaccine or whatever like that, but just the strong football player, tall, handsome guy with the popular girl who's on top of the world. And it's just kind of that classic Americana. And there are much worse role models that could be out there. There are much worse optics that you could have around celebrity relationships. And there's something kind of just innately super American and cool about that. But there's all this stuff around it with his antics, with the suspect nature of some of the things with the relationship, that it kind of undercuts that for a lot of conservatives. And so it's kind of just sad that we'd love to have this cool, celebrity couple moment where it just fits this, classic Americana sort of theme, but it gets convoluted by all this other weird stuff that's in the mix.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guarantee when this all ends, you're gonna get a whole Americana album about the girl who dates the guy on the football team and how she's watching in the stands as he's like making plays, but he's really a player or something, some bullshit, like when her music comes out about this man, you are all going to hear it. He just doesn't seem like he's all there. Like, why are you dating a guy who's pushing his coach and is screaming Viva Las Vegas and has old tweets where he cannot spell for the life of him?
Please show some of those.
Yeah, here's some old tweets from Travis Kelce. Mind you, I know that these tweets are old. Okay, so don't come for me. Let me show you in full screen here.
Okay, here.
This is Travis Kelce. It says nap time. It says, I just gave a squirrel, spelled Squirle, a piece of bread, and it straight smashed all of it. I had no idea they ate bread like that. Haha. Hashtag crazy. Tall glass of Dos Equis is what he's meant to say, but he spelled that wrong too. And a barbecue beacon burger, please. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Went from class to therapy. Now I need some Chipotle, and then I'm off to check out my new apartment. This man was active on Twitter in 2010, 2011, letting you know everything that was going on in his day, including nap time.
Look, you don't have
It's
to be
just
the
funny.
world's greatest speller to be smart. I'm sure he's a reasonably intelligent guy, and I don't want to
Sure.
just crap on him for misspelling some words in some old tweets, but it is just really funny. Like, those are just hilarious tweets to be out there. And hey, it's not like he has all these racist things that are being drudged up or anything like that. It's just kind of, it's somewhat endearing, although again, it just kind of makes you think a little bit about just the whole situation that we're seeing.
Yeah, I don't know. My vote is PR, but we'll check back in and see what all happens here. Not that we're actively trying to check back in on this, just that the world will not let you run away from this. We were originally going to do some other stories today, but everything is Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. Even your politicians are tweeting about the Super Bowl. Here is what homegirl Hillary Clinton put out on the internet. She said, congratulations to Taylor's boyfriend and the entire Kansas City Chiefs community. Clearly meant to be a little snarky remark in that Travis Kelce is not Travis Kelce. He is Taylor Swift's boyfriend. And that was her little bit of feminist tweeting for the day. Also, Joe Biden tweeted out, just like we drew it up, in regard to the Super Bowl, with this photo of himself, meant to be, I guess, a little nod to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, obviously, Joe Biden himself didn't tweet this out. I don't think he knows how to use a cell phone. I'm pretty sure multiple staffers put together these tweets and to prove them. I don't even know what this means. It has 491,000 likes and 200,000 retweets on it. Does anybody know what this means? Just like we drew it up. Is it to play on the conspiracy that the Super Bowl is like rigged and that Taylor Swift's a psyop or something like that? I honestly
I think so.
don't
I
get
think it's mocking the idea that, because some prominent conservative figures, right, like the Vivek Ramaswamis, I believe, and people in that vein have been very vocal about this idea that this whole relationship is a psyop, that the Super Bowl is going to be rigged in favor of the Chiefs in order to maximize the exposure of Taylor Swift and her involvement with Travis Kelce. And Taylor Swift is going to subsequently endorse Joe Biden like she did in the previous election. And it's all a ploy to funnel all this attention to get Joe Biden re-elected. So his social media staff, I should say, because like you said, he was probably 4 hours into a REM cycle by the time the Super Bowl was on and when this tweet was posted. But his staffers apparently wanted to make a mockery of this idea because the mainstream media is positing that whole thing as this, right-wing conspiracy theory. And I think that that's how they're trying to portray it there. So it was their effort at poking fun at what they deem to be this conspiracy theory.
Well, I guess clearly it was a good effort with the amount of engagement that this tweet got, because it was going off 100%. I don't know how I feel about like this new era of politicians being active in a way in social media in a way that's kind of like facetious and comedic. It's a little strange to watch them be like spitting jokes and watch Hillary Clinton talking about Taylor Swift's boyfriend and Joe Biden making jokes about the Chiefs game. I don't know. I'm like, can we keep it classy? Can we keep it like, if you're going to use Twitter and Instagram and stuff, can you guys just let me know what's going on in the world and what you're doing about the issues we're facing? Like, I don't understand why we're getting like Obama's playlist and all that stuff. Mind you, he's not president anymore, so it's more acceptable, I think. But it's just a little weird. It was already weird with like the corporations doing it, like Scrub Daddy's got jokes, Duolingo's got jokes, and we're just watching this. And while I find it extremely funny, it's also just a weird consumerist hellscape fever dream that we're experiencing right now, and now the politicians are jumping in on it. I might be alone in that I don't like seeing politicians being all comedic and funny haha on the internet, but I'm kind of over it.
But I would think that like entering the cultural conversation and trying to be funny and witty in that is like an effort to connect with people and say, haha, see, I get it. I'm like you. But the problem is whenever these tweets are manufactured in a lab by these Gen Z people who you have hired to be your social media staff, like someone tweeted a list of the Biden White House social media comms team or whatever. And it's like this list of Gen Z or millennial females who have a small number of followers, but are very into their titles and their jobs and are clearly like the ones behind this kind of messaging. But it doesn't come across as authentic because it's clear you didn't write this. And it's clear that Joe Biden did not write this. Like I said, he was probably asleep and they cooked this up in a lab, and then you post it and it's like, haha, it's a joke. It's an effort at entering the cultural conversation. But same thing with the Hillary one. Like she did not write that tweet, or even if she did, it's Hillary falling so flat. In contrast to, by the way, someone mentioned in the chat, say what you want about Donald Trump, but the way he let things fly off the handle on Twitter, I think that's why people could not look away and found it so, some people found it very enraging, but a lot of people found it very endearing because say what you want about it, but it was him tweeting undoubtedly, and there was authenticity there, and that's why I think it struck a chord with more Americans.
Yeah, I guess that's fair, and especially if it's going to be like issue based and you're actually talking about things, I'd prefer it be from the actual politician themselves than like a team of people who are doing like market research on what young people are talking about on the internet and what memes are most popular. It's just so strange to have such a direct connection to like political statements, politicians, their jokes, the comedy. But I digress. Another famous part of the Super Bowl, of course, is the ads and commercials, which just feeds into this whole thing. We are watching football games to see cool commercials, guys. So weird. So
Peak
weird.
Consumerism, right?
Yes. Peak consumerism. But UberEats found themselves in a bit of hot water because they made an UberEats ad that had some offensive elements. Now, who was offended by this? The Allergy community. And I'll tell you exactly why after we watch this ad. Let's check it out.
I didn't know you could get all this stuff on UberEats. Yeah. I remember that.
Well, you know what they say, in order to remember something, you gotta forget something else. Make a little room.
And that's how I remember UberEats has coffee, by forgetting something else.
Have a seat.
A what?
Remember when you used to be a pepper lady?
Wasn't it the Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil babes?
Paprika Girls?
No, that's absurd.
Jen. Hey.
Hi,
Okay.
can we not?
Did someone doodle on my face?
I'm so glad I remembered UberEats has office supplies, but I feel like I forgot something. Yeah.
There's peanuts and peanut butter?
It's not coming off!
Oh, it's the primary ingredient.
Give me hands.
Worked together for 10 years?
10 years.
Yeah.
You were great.
You still don't know, do you?
I don't.
Right.
Like I forget 10 years of my life.
I hate this town.
There you go. There's the ad. Now, can you figure out what was wrong with that ad and why people are upset? No? Well, it's this frame right here, or this scene right here, because this guy is eating peanut butter, and forgets that peanut butter has peanuts in it and he's allergic to peanuts and therefore starts to have an allergic reaction to what he is eating. Now, the allergy community and apparently a bunch of allergists came after UberEats and said, how dare you trivialize real allergic reactions in a commercial like this, and you should not be able to display this and make fun of people who have serious medical conditions when it comes to allergies. Guys, just peak sensitivity culture. Are you kidding me? You can't make a simple joke about somebody having allergies and forgetting and, eating the thing that has the allergen in it without people jumping down your throats. It's this whole what about meism that we have in our society right now, where you make a joke that's clearly not meant to trivialize anything or to make fun of any particular person, and somebody raises their hand and goes, well, what about me? I have a peanut allergy and that really offended me. How dare you trivialize something? And because one person raised their hand, Uber Eats now has to go edit out the portion of this ad, which they spent millions of dollars on, and then run it without one of the main kickers, like one of the main jokes. So they edited it out because the allergy community was so pissed off at them at trivializing a peanut allergy, and they didn't want to deal with the backlash that they were supposedly going to receive for having aired this at the Super Bowl, and it aired at the Super Bowl without the peanut allergy reaction. Oh goodness.
I hate everything. I hate 2024. I mean, it wasn't even like a joke that made or broke the ad. It was. Yeah, it was a moment. It was like this whole ad. It was kind of like, it was funny to see Jennifer Aniston. It was funny, the concept of like forgetting something, and Uber Eats can help you with the things that you forget. Yeah. So I think it was like overall a successful ad, but my goodness, like having to delete a joke that you write. Like we talk so much about how comedy is all about free speech, how nothing's off limits, and people just can't take a joke anymore, or they can, but they just get off so much on playing the victim. And like you said, this what about me culture, it's just, oh, this is why people look back with fondness on the times in which things were not so sensitive, but alas.
Yeah, I just feel like everything these days, you can find a group of people who are going to be offended by it and want it to be changed in some sort of way, or say that it trivializes something for them. And my goodness, I think we can move on from that.
By the way, if anyone has a peanut allergy, let us know in the chat if you're offended or not. We asked you guys, and 94% of you say it was not offensive for Uber Eats to joke about having peanut allergies in the ad. But I'm curious if you actually have one, how you felt.
Yeah, let us know for all the peanut allergy individuals in the chat down below. Y'all know I used to work at an allergist before I even started doing what I do now. Yeah. And I can guarantee you, most of my patients would not have cared about this whatsoever. And we would go through and allergy test all these people. I used to be a technician there, and those patients would not care. Come on now. So you get like a handful of people who write a strongly worded letter, and all of a sudden, people change things. And I can't imagine, hopefully they didn't, lose too much money. Not that I care that much about how much money Uber Eats loses, but my gosh, that's like millions of dollars that you funnel into something, and the high production value of it all. And then you end up having to put it on like the cutting room floor because a person wrote a strongly worded letter about their allergies. My goodness. So then you got the Pfizer ad, which I'm going to have to mute because we don't want to get copyright claimed. But it went through, all of Pfizer's work in science and the history of science and all these different contributions. And it's pretty fitting that Pfizer has a commercial during the Super Bowl this year, as, Travis Kelce is Daddy Pfizer. He's Pfizer boy, who promoted the whole vaccination thing, and, the right, and people who weren't pro the whole COVID regulations really came at him for that. And now Pfizer's sort of rebranding as this massive institution for modern day science and technology and innovation. And while that might be true to some extent, I will always have a bone to pick with Pfizer. I will always have a bone to pick with this corporation. I'm not gonna lie. We shall never forget what they did to us in the year 2020 and on.
Yeah, it's a nice message. I remember I was watching it, and once I realized it was Pfizer, it's like, oh, because the actual substance of what they were doing was kind of a tribute to science, and that was cool. but then to position yourselves as the tip of the spear of science, or like the natural progression of Isaac Newton and all these great discoveries that have come before. It's like, okay, yeah, you'll work in the scientific realm, but come on, like, just read the room. No one wants to hear from you right now, with your immunity from being prosecuted for any kind of injuries caused by your products, for the billions of dollars you spend in lobbying,
Right.
for the stranglehold that you've had on our institutions. Like, no one wants to hear it. So decent message, which is smart on them. I'll give them that. But just wrong messenger. No one wants to hear it.
Yeah, we love a good rebrand, Pfizer. We love a good rebrand, but we're not ready for it yet. Too soon. Too soon indeed. And lastly, this commercial is getting a lot of heat among the religious community. It is the He Gets Us commercial. And I'll show you some of the stills from this commercial here. And the whole concept of this commercial is to sort of break down the divide and point to a message that, you know, Jesus washed, you know, the feet of others as a sign of, I guess, camaraderie and taking care of other people. And you have the police officer washing the feet of a African-American guy, white woman washing the feet of, I don't know, maybe Hispanic or Native American young girl, white woman washing the feet of a Muslim woman, and pastor of some sort washing the feet of a black gay guy, I think, or, you know, a father washing the feet of a black gay guy. And I think there's other ones, because I wanted to go and look through this commercial and see, like, what was the back and forth message here? What sort of things does it seem like they're trying to depict? I did not see. I think there was one still of a person of color washing the foot of another person of color, and they were both like protesters who were protesting each other at some point, and then one decided to wash the foot of the other one. Other than that, it was all white people washing the feet of people of color, which I think is quite telling and maybe a little bit of a subliminal message in the ad. I'm not a religious individual, so I didn't think much of having watched this, but it has created quite a heated conversation amongst Christians in particular. I saw one super chat that definitely wanted to get Taylor to weigh in on this commercial. Taylor, how do you feel about it? He Gets Us.
So clicking too many things here. I don't know. On its face, it's like there's an element of, you know, like Paul says in the New Testament, that whether through false motives or pure, I rejoice that the gospel is preached. And so you don't want to be overly critical when someone is trying to do something good in the name of God. But at the same time, is it the gospel that you're preaching? And is that what's coming across in your messaging, or is it the gospel of Jesus? And this whole thing seemed overly vague in what it was trying to communicate, and it definitely seemed tailored to appeal to the modern sensibilities that are more left-leaning, that, you know, Jesus doesn't teach hate or didn't teach hate, and all of the scenes that they portray, or most of them, are sort of subverting the expectations of what a Christian would think is, I guess, a modern day leftist, by saying like, oh, here's a priest washing the feet of someone who appears to be LGBTQ or something like that. And while there's, like, on its face, again, that's maybe a nice thing to communicate, it just seems like it's only in one direction, right? And like, where was the Trump supporter having their feet washed, or the January 6th protester or something like that by an LGBTQ person, or vice versa? Like, I think that might have captured the message a little better, but it just seemed kind of like reductive, and reduced Jesus and his message to a caricature of what modern day sensibilities think. And so because of that, I think it fell a little flat for me, and I didn't like it. And I did a little poll on my Instagram asking Christians what they thought, and most of them did not like it either. So it's strange that you have this group of people who are wanting to spread the message of Jesus, but doing so in a way that is not co-signed by the majority of Christians, and I don't know what to say about it. It's a strange movement. I guess it creates a conversation, and maybe that's good or bad, but yeah, I can't really co-sign.
Yeah, it'd be better, I think, if it was just more even-handed in the messaging, I think. Then it would have probably landed a little better on people who were viewing this for the first time. The ads were, in fact, all over the place. They had Pfizer advertising, Scientology advertising, whatever this is was up in there. Kanye had an advertisement, and it was just like him talking to his iPhone camera, which is honestly brilliant marketing on his part to pay for the advertising slot and just film on your iPhone. But yeah, they was just letting everybody and their brother pay for an ad so long as they had the money for the slot, which I guess, you know what, is how it is and why we have something to discuss the next day, because things always get a little controversial at the Super Bowl. I don't think a Super Bowl has gone off without controversy. And with that, we are going to get into your Super Chats. Let's hear from you guys today.
All right. So kicking us off today is going to be, drum roll. Wow, there's a fair few. J-Man is our first one. He says the Taylor Swift Bowl was long and boring.
Okay. So you weren't a fan. You weren't a fan of the Super Bowl this year. Like I said, if you'd watched it on Nickelodeon, guarantee you wouldn't have been bored.
Not as bored, I guess. Yeah.
Next year, I might just be moved to check it out on Nickelodeon, at least for a little while.
Well, this is like we did with the Grammys. Like, I didn't sit down and watch the whole Grammys, but you can get, if you're interested in the cultural conversation, you can log on social media after it happens and get pretty much everything that you need to get out of it. So if you're watching for the football itself, though, as a football games go, it was, if you're really into football, you're like, wow, this is a great defensive battle, but it did kind of feel a little bit lacking in action as well. So, and it was not the result. Like, Swifties and people who live in Kansas City wanted Kansas City to win, and I think the rest of America wanted the Niners to win.
Interesting.
Because they're all kind of tired of.
They're kind of over it.
All of this stuff. Tired of the Chiefs. Tired of them keep winning, but and tired of the Taylor Swift drama and hearing about it. But
here we are.
Alas, they have the greatest coach. I mean, not coach, but the greatest quarterback right now of this generation in Pat Mahomes, and he's not anywhere near Tom Brady yet, but he's on a trajectory right now. So we'll see. Sorry to give you the football take, but
that's all good.
The 30-second version.
All I've heard about Pat Mahomes is that people say he has a zesty walk. Have you heard that? Because he walks.
Zesty walk? No.
Zesty walk. That's all I keep seeing on TikTok is people talking about
word.
the way he walks. Yeah, that's it. That's all I know about. That's what Sporty McSportington knows about him.
Okay. Well, interesting. He's got a lot that he sounds like Kermit the Frog when he talks.
Okay.
That's a very popular thing to say. And then there was some drama because unfortunately, his dad got pulled over for like the third time for DUI.
Damn.
And then people are like trying to paint him with that brush. Just sad. But anyways, Cameron Campbell says, I was expecting to see Taylor Swift over 20 times, but for most of the games, the Chiefs were losing. Sadly, the game tied and went into overtime where the Chiefs won. I lost $15.
Oof. Yeah, at least you could have lost much more. I'm sure a lot of men bet against the Chiefs, many of whom I think purely out of hatred for Taylor Swift, and I bet they lost a lot of money. I heard, I think Drake bet $1 million that the Chiefs would win, so he is raking in whatever the return is on that. So
yeah, rich get rich here. We didn't show, but we could have the guys on TikTok. I think there was one who spent 20 grand on it, and then when the Chiefs won, he like destroyed the television in front of him because he was so mad about losing his bet.
I don't know if this is the guy, but there are so many videos of men destroying their televisions on the internet. Here's a clip. And my question, are you guys okay? Like, and then like a woman jumping in, what type of, this is degenerate behavior. I'm gonna be so honest. You're breaking your TV because a football game, it is such a red flag. I read somewhere that like domestic violence skyrockets on Super Bowl Sunday, And when you see
Whoa.
video clips like this, I think, I could be wrong, fact check me on this. I know it skyrockets on Super Bowl Sunday, but somebody said it's one of the worst days of the year for domestic violence in the United States of America. And it's probably because of people like this who are absolutely nuts and do things like this over a football game. How weird. It's such a weird thing to do. Very strange.
They need to go to anger management therapy with Andy Bernard.
Yes, they really do. They really do. Fist through the drywall.
It was an overreaction.
Yeah.
Let's see. Celtic Blacksmith says the Irish once tried to make an Irish American national anthem, but they had trouble finding words that rhymed with whiskey, Guinness, or potato.
Gotta love a good Irish
take
joke.
your word for it. I haven't heard of the
Let's see.
Irish national anthem.
I think he was making a joke towards the Irish. If there's any Irish watching right now, let me know if you're offended in the chat
Making a funny.
down below.
Let's see. Cameron Campbell again says, can we talk about Travis Kelce's behavior yelling at the elderly coach? Add on to him promoting vaccines and kneeling during the national anthem.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't sound like the most like bang up guy. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm not sure what's so endearing about this man that people are sort of fawning over him. And then the more clips I see, the less I understand. Let me just tell you that, especially the pushing of the coach. It's just such a... It's not a masculine thing to do. As much as people want to say, oh, it's men, like this is just men being men. It's really not masculine to go and push somebody so much older than you and so much frailer than you in a moment of rage. The masculine thing to do would be to control yourself and deal with it in a way that is respectful. So...
Yeah. I mean, it's basically the same response as the breaking of the TV, right?
Yeah.
It's the total raging.
It's like toddler tantrums.
Lil Redhead 75 says, please forgive me if y'all talked about this, but curious to hear taste. Oh, this is when they asked about my take on this, that he gets us.
Yeah.
Yeah, ads. Well, you guys can rewind and catch that.
Yes.
Jorge M says, the shit show Super Bowl was rigged because of the Taylor Swift BS.
I know a
I
lot
meant
of
to do a
people
poll
feel
to
that
ask
way.
y'all if you think it was rigged. I'm gonna do
Yeah,
that.
let's ask. I know a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people were saying there's no way the Chiefs were going to lose this game. I don't know. How does one rig a football game like that when you're like watching it live?
I mean, the most obvious answer is the refs. You know, you get the refs to
Okay.
not call penalties on the 49ers or
Okay.
on the Chiefs and get them to call more on the Niners. And overall, my takeaway was that this was a fairly well officiated game. I heard some commentary that the Kansas City defense was being very physical with the 49ers offense and doing things that sometimes get called for flags and weren't. I did see a clip too of a star player on the 49ers getting like egregiously held on a play, which is a penalty where you like grab a guy and don't let him move in a way that you're not allowed to, when he was going after Pat Mahomes, and would have changed the play. But almost every game has a few plays like that you can dissect and say that. So you could maybe make a case that there was asymmetrical officiating in favor of the Chiefs, but I don't know. That's what people point to, though, with the conspiracy theory, at least that from what I've heard.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's got to be tough to be a ref, too. I bet there's a lot of pressure riding on the things that you say and do. I bet they have security going in and out of that game.
Indeed. All right, I got the poll up. You guys could let us know if you think it was rigged or not. Taylor Fan Club says, I could literally hear my mother screaming. The woman is in her late 60s who has never watched any sports ever. This Super Bowl made people go crazy.
Yeah. It's like a full moon. The Super Bowl happens and suddenly people are screaming and attacking each other and doing all this crazy stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't know that I have anything. Maybe I have a lack of passion in my life because there's nothing that I would break my TV for having seen. Nothing that I can think of, honestly.
Yeah, it's like a double-sided thing. Like the sports is great because it sort of harnesses the energy of tribalism that humans tend to have, but in a way that's somewhat like it's healthy. Like we want to see competition. We want to see At least a large swath of humanity does. But it also brings out a lot of the ugliness with it. And it's not unique to football or American football. Fans of sports have clashed. Like in the UK, they're famous for their crazy fights. People die between fan bases and stuff. So I think it's maybe there's healthy elements to it by like being able to identify with your team, and like it's a cool thing, but it can easily go too far. And I think where you don't have a healthy degree of separation from your team, like you can quickly act irrationally and do things that are very bad.
100%. I watched the David Beckham documentary on Netflix about like his whole career and everything, and this time that he, I guess, fouled a player on I forget who he was playing, but it was while he was playing for England or something like that. And the entire country hated him for years to come. Like, he was getting spit on, yelled at, threatened, all this stuff over a bad decision he made in a game. It's like, wow, okay, you take this a little too seriously, guys. You take it a little too seriously.
No, you don't want to be the kicker who misses a big kick, or, the guy who doesn't block a goal or something. Yeah.
No, you'll have hitters out on
pariah.
You. For real. You got ops after that. A whole country full of ops.
Oh, dear. It's all black pill to me. It says, hey, A and Tay, can we all agree that the halftime show was worse than the Marvels movie? J-Lo and Shakira was the best one so far because of that reggaeton.
I don't know. I didn't think it was all that horrible. And anybody who was an Usher fan, I think, was satisfied. I think he moved through the songs super quickly. And then the audio, as I said in the beginning, was not doing him any favors, even though Usher sings very well live. But other than that, I wasn't astounded, but I wasn't, like, bored by it, I guess.
Yeah, no, it was, like, fast-paced and kept you engaged. And the way that it ended with Lil Jon coming out and doing the Turn Down for What cameo going into, it was like... It definitely hit a high note, and you could feel how like hype it was inside of there. And I think, for most of America, that's probably like the only Usher song that they really know or have heard. And so when that drops, I'm sure, you could feel the energy for sure, which was cool. So such a hater, Alex. If it doesn't have the Latinas and the reggaeton, he doesn't want it.
He doesn't want it.
Jorge M says, how TF does he know he will win the Super Bowl next year, because it's all rigged and scripted?
Well, I know. It's I view it like kind of like when the presidential candidates say "when I'm president" kind of thing, like you don't know. It's just a confidence thing. It's just an ego thing, I guess.
I think that's the right read.
Yeah.
And it also helps again when you have the best quarterback of this generation, who's already got 3 Super Bowls under his belt in like a 5-year of career as a starter. You can be pretty strong on your bet.
So riddle me that. Why isn't Pat the one making the whole speech in that video, and instead Travis Kelce is the one holding the trophy and doing the speech?
Well, I'm sure he spoke I didn't stay tuned to the post-game antics, but I'm sure that they had him speak on camera. I think the Kelce one just got clipped on social media, went viral because of Taylor Swift.
Gotcha.
But also, when Pat Mahomes was generally a lot more humble in his demeanor when he's talking, and gives credit to his teammates, and usually he does a lot of the sports pleasantries. He's had his moments of being a little edgy, but for the most part, he's a lot more toned down. He wouldn't do something like we saw with Kelce. I also wonder if Kelce was trying to like outdo his brother, because at the AFC Championship game, his brother, who is also a Hall of Fame or potential Hall of Fame player who played for the Super Bowl winning Eagles a couple years ago, but he took off his shirt in the box and was like dancing all crazy and having a lot of fun with fans. But it was actually in a really cool, like endearing, like humanizing way. So I wonder if he was like trying to outdo the love his brother's getting for all of that, and do the Viva Las Vegas thing, which, by the way, Lynn says the Viva Las Vegas was a popular song by Elvis Presley, also an Elvis movie. So I betrayed a little bit of cultural ignorance on that one. I saw some people calling me out for not knowing. But did you know about
we can't know everything. No, we can't know everything, guys.
We're trying.
I don't know anything about sports alone, let alone Viva Las Vegas, let alone any of this. I didn't even know why Travis Kelce was the one with the microphone.
All right. E says, I don't know. The yelling and pushing his coach is a big red flag for me. in my opinion.
If I was like dating a man again and saw him do that, done immediately, broken up. I don't know how that is to be tolerated. It's just not healthy, not normal, I don't think.
Equestrian 100 says, came late, but just want to say hi and let you know how much I love your channel. You have such great common sense views on all topics. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for watching it and coming by and hopefully having a good time. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Indeed. Celtic Blacksmith again says, Taylor, you better watch your arse with that fan club of yours. Mine organized a mutiny. In hindsight, arming a group of fanatics wasn't my best idea.
Wait, what?
Well, if you remember, Celtic Blacksmith had his own fan club.
And he said he was going to forge some stuff for them. But that's probably best not to arm them.
This is getting into you've got to be a regular watcher to follow the antics of the
it's lore.
layers of fan clubs in the Superchats happening.
It's lore at this point.
But it sounds like you made it out alive at least, so we're happy you held on. I'm sure you've got more weapons than any of your raving fans.
Sorry, TV.
V says, I feel like it's to show his quote-unquote support for the Chiefs, but was it executed badly?
What was?
In referring to, is this his Viva Vegas thing or going after the coach?
I am not sure. Sorry about that. We do not know what your super chat is referring to.
But whatever it was executed badly from the things that we talked about.
Yes.
So I guess you're right there. William Huck says the allergen community is allergic to humor.
I guess so. That was a good one. Yeah, they are indeed, apparently. And I imagine it's just a few people responsible for making that big change. I think one of them happened to be, a higher up at one of these like allergy organizations. I forget what the name of it is, but
it was like a Canadian one too. It wasn't even an American. Not that valid criticism can't come from Canada.
Sure,
like,
but
come on, your UberEats, an American company for the Super Bowl, and some Canadian organization is like, you're being mean to people with allergies.
Gosh, Canadians these days, guys. Sorry for any of the Canadians who are watching this show, but your country has got a lot going on. I saw a video of some Canadian official saying that like parents don't have rights in Canada. They have responsibility, and their responsibility is to affirm their child. That's such a wild thing to say, especially as an official. But I keep watching some crazy clips out of Canada, so it's no wonder that the Canadians are behind the alteration of the UberEats commercial.
Yeah, affirm your child in what the government says you must affirm them in. Scary times up there. Let's see. It's all black pill to me again. Says, I wasn't offended by the UberEats ad, but what I am offended by is the fact that they did not have any hot Asians in the Lunar New Year's commercials. Where's the diversity they speak of? The audacity.
Oh my gosh. Somebody just wants the Asians.
I think you need to take a cold shower.
Indeed. Expeditiously.
Have UberEats deliver you a bag of ice. Kay Keegan says, what do you think of them using a Jewish singer to promote a Nazi product? They used a Neil Diamond song for Volkswagen.
Oh, I don't think that matters. Come on, Volkswagen is pretty. It's a neutral commodity, I think. I think it's lost its Nazi association at this point. If anything, that's a good thing. If anything, it's a good thing that you have something, made in Germany that is now has like a Jewish singer on it. We've come a long way.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you see the Volkswagen ad? It was like retracing their history as a company in America, and it started in like 1949 or something like that. But they were associated with the Nazis like in the years prior to that. So it was just a little bit like kind of similar to Pfizer. Just like, we're only telling the positive, of course it's an ad for your company. So what do you expect? But people are just quick to point out that they have not forgotten.
Right. I feel like history is history. I mean, what are we going to do about it at this point? Yeah. It's going to continuously be it's going to be a successful company regardless.
No, we need to make a list of every company that ever had any Nazi affiliation, that ever sold anything to a bad person that we don't like. And they need to be held to account.
Right.
Canceled. Cameron Campbell says, I'm a Sunday school teacher, and the reason why most people hate this Jesus ad is because they're using the Bible to shun Christians as hypocrites, using religion for social activism and not the gospel.
Yeah, I mean,
one more.
Sure. Keep going.
Says, while Jesus said to love and help others, it was to help people, not to affirm. I remember the table flipping at the temple.
Yeah, I could see there's be a ton of different interpretations, as is the case for anything religious. You're going to have a million different interpretations of what was done right, what was done wrong, what is most adherent to Scripture. So I think this will be no exception. I can definitely see some undertones in it that lead me as a non-religious person to see what maybe the message is that they're trying to promote. But I'll leave it to you guys to give your interpretations.
Yeah, I think that's what didn't sit well with me. Like, there's kind of this, you either did something that feels true to the heart of Christianity, the heart of Jesus as I know it, and that when that comes across, it's pretty obvious and it stands on its own. And then you're putting out a message that has been tailoring Jesus to your purposes, or putting your ideas and your agenda with a veneer of Jesus over it. And this felt more like the latter than the former, is all I'll say. Okay, Boomer 412 says, they always leave out the go and sin no more part of his message. Yeah, that was a big criticism from a lot of Christians I saw online about that one as well. Vicky Bell says, shout out to the RFK Jr. ad. I thought it was pretty smart for him to use the Kennedy nostalgia factor, especially for people who didn't even know he was running.
Yeah, the Kennedy. It was a very cute, nostalgic ad for a time period where I didn't even exist. It still hit. So I think, it was an interesting spin. And, if you're going to run a Kennedy, that's probably one of the best ways you could do it. I guess some of his family was upset about using the likeness of, prior Kennedy. And he apologized for that because he had no actual say in this ad. He's not allowed to have say in these ads. So, but I think it landed on the audience that it, was going to be in support of it and felt the nostalgia for it. Yeah. Yeah,
it was cool to see. It definitely felt like connected you to American history and just the nostalgia for JFK. So that was cool with him.
Yeah.
It's all Black Pill again says, if you guys would have continued watching that TV smashing clip, their kids started stomping on the TV as well. What a fierce Parents of the Year contest.
Yeah, it's so bad from so many directions. First, you're breaking a piece of property for no reason. You're engaging in an act of just aggression for no reason. Your kids are emulating it. Ay. All over a football game, guys. I'll never understand.
Tajikistan, yes, I would never get upset at a football game. I'll get like into it, but I'm not at the point of breaking stuff. One time I threw a pumpkin. I will say that.
You threw a pumpkin.
It was LSU versus Alabama a few years ago, and I mean, it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek because I was with my roommate who's also a big fan. And anyway, I was kind of being dramatic on purpose for comedic effect. But
sure.
Never broken a TV.
Not out of loss of control of your faculties did you throw the pumpkin.
Yeah. I mean, it's to be debated. We'll have to watch the instant replay. Glad it wasn't on tape.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ty Oran says, love you guys. Your show is my reward after working out while I stretch. P.S. Beyonce ex Verizon was the best part of the show.
Oh, I didn't see that part. Did you?
Oh, kind of. It was loud in the room I was in, so I didn't get to catch the details of it. But basically, the ad was Beyonce trying to break the internet. So she kept doing different things like dances or absurd things, and she eventually like goes into outer space to break the internet, and they're like, you still haven't broken it because Verizon's network is so strong that you can't break it. Even with Beyonce. So it was like a funny concept and pretty well.
Very
kind of fun
creative.
and executed. That's what you want out of a Super Bowl ad, something just like creative, funny with a celebrity, and so
awesome.
I liked it. AVJR says, Taylor, what are your thoughts on the deconstruction Christian movement? I'm not a fan of it. John L. Cooper of Skillet talks about it on his podcast, Cooper Stuff. I recommend him. He is a cool man. I remember Skillet was like one of those Christian bands from way back when and I have heard of John Cooper. You know, he was like the front man. I don't know where he stands on all of it. But generally speaking, I sympathize with deconstruction in a lot of ways because I had a lot of dogma in my beliefs, and it needed to be distilled out against the backdrop of truth. But I think what I see from deconstructionists is they end up using their negative experiences to go further than they need to, and their frustrations and like reactionary anger toward their bad experiences or doubts or whatever make them to miss the forest for the trees, or, you know, throw out the baby with the bathwater. And I think they end up going too far, becoming too relativistic, and it generally doesn't end well. But I had my own deconstruction kind of phase, but I also just didn't get to the point where I became like super relativistic like I see a lot of the deconstructionists do. So that's my 30-second answer. I could talk about that much longer though. So thank you for asking. Anisha says, can you explain something to me as an outsider? Which people in the USA are seen as white? I always learned that Caucasian race are Europe, but I saw a video of a girl who is said to be of Italian descent and so not white.
Just anybody who looks white, essentially. It's nothing to do with actual like background, at least to the best of my knowledge. If you look white, you are considered white. Now, we do this whole kind of like one drop thing, essentially, where if you have like one drop of like black or some sort of, you know, person of color background, then you can start identifying with that. And then if you still look white, then you're white passing. But don't look for any actual formality to why we call people white people. We just judge them based off of literally what we see with our own eyes. It's bad.
Yeah, there's like black people who are white passing, so they don't get to call themselves black, and Elizabeth Warren gets to call herself Native American for 0.00 whatever percent.
Right.
So
you would say you are a
just
black person who is white passing. Is essentially what you would be called. I'm half white and half black, but I just get called black because I am not white passing. So there you go.
Travis
Does that
Kelce
make any
is
sense?
black passing because of his Blaccent, as we learned.
Right. He's a black white boy apparently. So yeah.
Rebecca Fantuazo says, I love the Kennedy campaign. That the Kennedy campaign is finally getting out there into the national spotlight. Now people know there's a real third party candidate.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what it does with this next election cycle and how, you know, the votes start stacking up with a pretty possibly strong third party candidate. It's going to be interesting to witness. Things could go awry, but also it might just be the beginning of something new in, you know, American politics.
Yeah, it would be really interesting, but it's like if ever the stage were set for a third party candidate to break through, I mean, you would think it'd be now. Of course, we could have said the same thing in 2016.
Yeah.
But because I mean, there's a lot of aversion to both candidates.
Yeah.
That's coming. But I know the left really is dismissive of RFK as a conspiracy theorist, and the right, I think, is equally unenthused. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But
I don't hate him.
Yeah, I think he's I don't know. It's interesting that he's out there.
Yeah.
Given the options, it's like, man, I mean, good Lord, maybe we could talk about that more in a future episode. But it was a cool ad, to say the least.
Sure.
Jim C says the Super Bowl domestic violence hoax was debunked in the book Who Stole Feminism by Christina Hoff Sommers in the 1990s.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look into that and check it out. I do like Christina Hoff Sommers. I watched many of her lectures and many of her videos, so I'll have to check out that book, Who Stole Feminism.
Yeah, we love to be fact-based when it comes to claims about feminism and who's perpetrating violence and population stats, and we know Christina's great on those things.
Yeah.
It's All Black Pill says, I'm sorry, Amala. I wasn't watching the halftime show to watch Usher take his shirt off. I didn't sign up to watch Chippendales. Taylor did sign up for that, though.
Yeah, let me be fair. Some people don't want to see that. The halftime show, either people really love it, or sometimes they're just there to watch the halftime show, and others don't really care. And I guess it just depends on who your artist is.
I was a little upset because we were playing beer pong going into halftime, and then when Usher came on, the girls wanted to stop and watch it like in an engaged fashion.
Yeah.
Alas, it's whatever. It's each their own. Elise Iris says, hello, friends, and I are indulging in magic portobello mushrooms this weekend. What conspiracy theories should we think about?
Magic portobellos. I've never heard of
I didn't know they had magic portobellos.
Yeah, they're just eating pasta. Conspiracy theories. Get into Mattress Firm. Let's check out Mattress Firm. You guys can do a deep dive on that one and see what you find.
It's been a while since we talked about the Etsy conspiracy theory, the Bohemian Grove. That used to be a big one on
Bohemian Grove.
Talked about spirit cooking.
Confirmed.
This Taylor Swift, Kelce is the latest and greatest conspiracy theory. So there's plenty. Y'all can go wild with it. But don't go too wild. SKH writer says, I really just wish Hollywood would leave us Christians alone. Taylor was right. Ours is a religion of acceptance, but that ad felt more like a jab.
Yeah, well, it's difficult there because they identify with your same religion. So how is it's Christians leaving Christians alone if that's the case? It's kind of tough.
Christians with resources who maybe don't represent the broadly held views, but I get you. Yeah, I mean, whatever, man. We've all got to live true to it as best we can individually. And I think that's as good as you can do. People are going to do what they're going to do. But I think the truth will out in the end. And that's not something that can be corrupted. And I mean, the Bible even talks in that language about the true thing being the incorruptible seed. And that's still there. So Erica Henderson says, I'm a 49ers fan, and there were a few times where the Chief got first downs, but the ball was pushed back.
I don't know what that
Sporty
means.
McSportington, what's your official opinion on this?
They got first downs, but the ball was pushed back. Is that what it says?
I'm not even really sure what that is referring to.
Literally no idea what that means. Literally no idea. Are you saying that the refs were making bad calls? Is that's what the thing is trying to say? And that the game is in fact rigged?
I think she's saying, as a credit to her integrity and honesty, that even though she's a 49ers fan, she saw there's plays where the Chiefs should have earned a first down because they advanced the ball far enough, but then the referees placed it behind the first down sticks to where they did not get credit for a first down. So that's how I'm interpreting that. But let me know if I'm wrong there.
Translation.
Isaac Gorski says, gay or not, I would not be okay with a man dancing on my wife in any situation, just like she wouldn't be okay with a lesbian dancing on me.
I guess it depends on the wife. I guess it depends. I don't know that I would feel any of that. I don't think I would feel that type of way if a lesbian danced on my boyfriend or something like that. I'd just be like, oh, okay. That's kind of... I would be more interesting to me that a lesbian would want to dance on my boyfriend than the fact that she actually did it. To each their own. I think clearly Alicia Keys knew what she was getting into, and thus probably her husband knew what she was getting into, and I'm sure they're going to be fine.
I just love some of the tweets of like, Usher's a freak for real, man. He's just going for it. That's a married woman. Like, it was just funny to see the reactions. But yeah, I mean, I find it uncomfortable, but you get it. Like he's a performer. They've been doing it for decades now, and they did the song together. They're not, I don't know. It's whatever.
And Usher is literally just known for doing that. Anytime he performs My Boo, he'll pick somebody from the crowd and do that same exact shtick. So if she didn't know what she was getting into, I don't know. That's on her.
That's on you. And she could have, girl has agency too, right? She could have pushed away or whatever in the moment if they really wanted to. Sam says, hey, when you were talking about rappers a few shows back, I wanted to suggest Little Sims from my way in the UK. Her music is so creative, and she's a great lyricist, a great female rapper among many poor ones. Love to hear what you think.
Oh, I see her. Okay. She's got a very cool style. Okay. I'm going to have to look her up and listen to her. She looks cool. She looks very, very cool.
Always amassing the recommendations in the super chats. Thank you guys. And I think this is our last one of the day at the buzzer. Justin K just says, you guys are amazing. Keep up the good work. And that is his first super chat. So thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Justin. We really appreciate it. And guys, that is our show for today. I hope you had a good time. We will be, I say this every time, hopefully staying away from Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift in the future on this show.
Yes, please.
And talking about more pressing, important stories. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time we're live. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. Plus, we post videos for you guys every single day. Tomorrow's video is about a one Sunny Hostin from The View. A woman who is often pushed for reparations and black acknowledgement and all these different things, who has now found out that her ancestors are, in fact, slave owners. So we'll discuss that. I'll give you my take on it. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. And with that, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Monday. You start the week off right, and that you have a good evening. Bye, guys.